Here we are on a very deep sandy paddock in the Victorian Valley, in the Speed area. We've got some piezometers that have been installed and we're looking at what's happening with water movement. So dune seepage is basically where excess moisture goes through a sandy or a soil, finds its way to a impermeable layer and moves down slope, and then can break out at the base of slope and cause seepage, water logging and salinity problems down slope. So here we've got a bore piezometer. The water table here is down about 3.5 metres. The water table is at 3.5 metres, and that's where it's hit an impermeable layer, and on top of that it's about 3 metres of pretty well complete sand. So it's an extremely deep sandy paddock, and quite not completely unusual, but as sandy as what we find in the Victorian Valley. So we'll just move down the slope to the next one, and this particular paddock is in crop. It's also a paddock where the Mallee Sustainable Farming have got a research site going with species to try and see what can utilise moisture the best. As we go down the slope, what we expect is that we know that the sand is getting shallower, less sand, and the clay is getting closer to the surface. And it just ties in usually with topography. So as the elevation drops down, so the water tends to be closer to the surface. So we'll move right down to the second piezometer. We'll just stop and talk about it when we get there. So at this piezometer, we're about 1.5 to 2 metres in elevation lower than the one we were just at first. This one, the water table's at about 1.5 metres. So it's dropped off nearly 2 metres. It's come up close to the surface, and the clay, again, we know has come much closer to the surface, and there's only about 1 metre of sand on top of this slide. Moisture movement is coming down the slope, finding its way here. And we'll just go to the third piezometer now, where we see where it starts to nearly break out at the surface. So we've now come to the third piezometer. This one here is right at the breaker slope. The clay we know is only about 30 centimetres below the surface. There's only about 10 centimetres of sand on top of this side. We'll just drop the piezometer whistle down to measure what the water table is. It's only installed today. But this one here, there's 1 metre above the surface of this bore with the top of the piezometer. 1.35. So it's actually only 35 centimetres below the surface is the water table. Extremely close to the surface, and we'll just quickly get a sample out and just have a bit of a feel for what's actually happening down there. So here we are. So this is water from 35 centimetres down. See, it's quite good looking water. Fresh as you'd ever find. It's almost like rainwater. No taste of salt in it at all. I'd be surprised if it's even 1000 EC, but when we do a test with the sample later, we'll find out what that actually is. So we'll just move to the final bore just down here, which is the one below the breaker slope. So this one here, the clay is right at the surface. There was literally no sand on the surface and we went straight into clay. And what you'd normally expect is where we know the water's breaking out just here behind us, and this is at the breaker slope, and we went all the way down clay all the way, and we're at 3.5 metres and there's no water. So the water breaks out up there, it's not coming to here, and the issue below this is all due to surface water, salt accumulation over time and saturated soils. So our issue is from there up the hill is where the problem's coming from, and this is the result down here, the loss of productive land.